I think it's a little bit of both, right? We go into a game with a pretty good menu for what we want to do, and a lot of times it's off of what the defense is giving us. We kind of have an idea of what we think we're going to start with, and depending on how the game flows, we can get to different things. I think this game presented something different. We called a lot of RPOs, which we hadn't really done. So I think it was like six of them that ended up being thrown, which was different. So obviously that adds to the pass stats. But so I think each game presents something different a little bit. And, you can sneak runs here and there, and we've been really successful in certain areas throwing the ball recently. If you look through the games, comes kind of situational stuff, which has been different this year, which is good. It's added some diversity to our offense. So, I think it's each game is kind of dependent on certain things.
What made Sunday's game one where you wanted to lean into the RPOs? I guess what about the Broncos defense presented that look to you guys?
Without giving up everything, kind of sort of, there were some things that they had shown that you could kind of work on that side of the run game, I guess you could say. And so it was just something that kind of presented itself, and the way it kind of turned out, it just kind of kept going. So it was able to kind of be a constant throughout the game. And when you're calling those, it's 50-50. And so truly sometimes it can go in the other direction where it's a lot of passing. And that's kind of what happened.
When that's your plan, and Jalen doesn't have a lot of success running the ball, did that part of that surprise you that they were able to contain him running the ball as well as they did?
Well, sometimes when you're calling those plays, right, he can run it, Saquon can run it, or we can throw it. So like it's kind of a three-way monster right there. So it's kind of a dealer's choice. So it's just kind of a different kind of style, and it kind of worked in that moment.
I don't know if the numbers I see match what y'all see, but it seems like cover one isn't something you'll see a lot. And on Sunday you saw the Rams. I mean, does that play into why kind of pressing more into the passing game, or is that part of the equation?
Yeah, I mean, each game, you look at what's your matchup, who do you like, what do they like to do, kind of what's their tendencies going in, and when you got a feel for that, that's kind of where you can press into, okay, is this a little more of a pass game identity or a little more of a run game identity, without giving up like specifics about what they were doing, but you kind of go into it kind of having a feel for whether they're going to be who their identity is or they're going to morph into something different. So it can kind of go both ways.
And even on first downs, in terms of just whether you start that off with a run or a pass, what kind of goes into that factor for you, and how are you kind of looking at that as you move forward?
So there's multiple things, right? It's in game a little bit. Okay, maybe I threw it on the first one, then I got to run it, or it's also previous games. Field position, kind of has a play into it too. What kind of personnel we're in offensively, what kind of personnel they're in defensively. So it's a constant kind of working through, whether it's far as an analytical thing, whether it's far as just a coaching feel thing. Like there's kind of a back and forth where you got to just kind of work through it to make sure you're covering different areas. So you're not just all into one and into the other.
If you look at the pass game, the numbers versus man versus zone are just greatly disparate. What has been the reason for that?
I think it just depends on, the defense's philosophy. Some teams are real man heavy and some teams aren't. And some teams show up and they feel like, hey, we can't play man, we got to play zone. I think this year has been very different from the past, where we've faced really, really good defenses early in the year, and ones that this was the first one we hadn't really gone against, but the first four we went against quite a bit, obviously last year and years four, so we had some history. So this past one was a little bit different because we really didn't know each other. We hadn't had a feel for it, whether it was personnel, scheme, whatever. So I think it was a little bit different. You could feel it throughout the game, kind of a back and forth of kind of how it was getting called with both of us.
It seems like, from your perspective, what's been the issue in the team getting to the line of scrimmage and then the snap getting off?
I think when you look at each play, like sometimes plays can have multiple things in them. So, there's a little more going in the huddle, or there's a little more at the line of scrimmage that we're assessing or motioning or things like that. So I don't think there's one specific thing. I know we're constantly pressing on it. As far as coaches and players, we're all into it. We know we got to just maintain it and be on it, so it's not an issue.
Are the calls coming in on time per usual? Or?
Yeah, I mean, it's not anything specific. We just got to keep working through it.
How's the health of the offensive line affected play calling? And was Saquon fully healthy in the second half?
Yeah, as far as injuries, you have to ask Nick. But, whoever's out there, I know I'm going to get maximum effort. We know as a team they're going to do everything they can to help us win. So we never have an issue with that. And we know, Stout does a great job with the O-line and everybody. So they're pretty much always prepared for every game.
What's your game planning approach on a short week like this? Do you try to scale things back a little bit, kind of keep it simple? Or?
So short weeks are tricky, right? So Nick does a really good job of setting up a schedule for us to kind of get the game plan in. So basically what we did today was we did first and second down in the morning, third down in the afternoon, tomorrow will be red zone. But as far as coaches yesterday, it was pretty much all day. Like we didn't get very much sleep last night. I'll say that. We were up pretty much all night. If we got 2 to 3 hours of sleep, it was a good night. So what you have to do is you really have to rely on essentially what you're seeing from them defensively and or what you know we can lean into and do. And you do want to add some wrinkles, right? Because that's what makes it important to have in a game plan to just kind of counteract what they may be doing. So I think in Thursday night games and early games like this, there's a little bit of a feel kind of like, okay, how much are they putting into game planning versus just being who they are and vice versa. So I think there's a little bit of back and forth with that.
That being who they are, sort of, I've heard coaches describe the Thursday games as sort of DNA games. You look more inward. Would you agree with that than a typical week where you have all the preparation?
I think it depends. You know, we have a very high football IQ as a team. So I think that gives us the ability to do different things. And so I think it just depends, you know, from team to team, what you're comfortable with. If you've got veteran players, rookie guys, if you got guys filling in. So I think it just depends from team to team.
You guys had a lot of success against them up there, especially the game with Saquon last year. What, if anything, are they doing different this year?
You know, when you watch the tape, they play extremely hard. Their front's really, really good. You know, they added some guys up to the front, and that's the biggest thing that you see. If they play really, really hard, they got a really good front, and they're flying around to the football. I mean, they're competing extremely hard. So it's going to be a tough test, obviously, going up there. It's a division game. It's always tough when you play those
The
games.
last 2 weeks in the second half, when you guys have struggled, we've seen less blitzing and a lot of simulations, a lot of dropping in deep zones. And why have you guys struggled to go up against that?
I think part of it, I think we did a better job, first of all, on Sunday. Jalen did a good job. The receivers did when we had a few of those. We had some second and longs and third downs where that was popping up. And we did a better job of kind of getting in phase. And that's the biggest thing. If we can just stay on schedule, some of those things kind of don't always appear because there are holes. And we hit a few that I know for sure in the game coming off. We had one backed up that we did a good job with. So I think it's just going to be a constant thing of just staying on schedule. And those things sometimes come up, sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's in the defensive DNA, and sometimes it's just they don't ever do this, but they're going to try it this week, and it's our job to defeat it.
What was your view of the illegal shift, that play? Did you think it was a good call, or?
I mean, you know, I'm not going to second the call, but ultimately, if you watch it a little bit, it was tough. You know, the referee asked Jahan to move up, and he moved up, and we were moving, and it is what it is. You know, that stuff happens, unfortunately. And it was a big play in the game, and, you know, that's part of it. And we just got to work as far as coaches and players to make sure we do everything we can so that kind of stuff doesn't happen. Obviously, it's not on purpose. We're doing everything we can to do the right thing. So we just got to just continue to maintain that.
It seems the first down is key on the scoring drives, but then the 3-and-out rate is highest in the league. What needs to be done to avoid these 3-and-outs?
I think really it's just the best we can do is just stay ahead of the sticks, right? So first down, we got to have positive plays that lead into second down. When you get behind on second down, it gets tricky. And that's kind of what happened in the game a little bit. Even some spots we had, you know, we had 10 2-minute plays, right? So that's 10 passes. We had the RPOs, that's 6 passes. And we had like 4 third and longs. So like one of them was an explosive, right, to Devontae, but that's 4 more passes. So you're looking at like 20 passes right there just because of situational football. So that can kind of get the game going in a direction. That's why we just really got to just focus on staying ahead of the sticks and kind of advancing it forward. And we've done a good job. We talked about it today as an offense. And look, you know, we just got to keep progressing and working through this. Everybody's into it. Everybody's being super detailed on what they need to do. We just got to keep pushing it because when we've done what we need to do, we've moved the ball extremely well at a high rate. So we just got to continue to do that.
You had your longest run on that toss to the outside, 17 yards. Why didn't you go back to that?
It was kind of a situational play that we got to in the moment. And so it's kind of the way it worked out with the personnel we were in. And it just kind of fit like that.
Is Jalen running after the Hail Mary at the end of the game, is that a coaching point or is that something that he took upon himself?
I just think he kind of took it upon himself, really. I mean, it was close. I mean, we actually did a good job of getting it down there. It's hard to kind of get the ball down there in that range, and we gave ourselves a chance. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.